Cast or conjure your mind back to the mid-80s. The warmth of a medium pile carpet, the dependable security of a personal computer, the iridescent glow of a CRT perched just above head height, and a world of wonder just waiting to lure you in, just like a Squarespace website. Thanks for sponsoring. These are the conditions in which I first encountered Ultimate Play the Game's Jetpac, an absolute wonder of a game which not only transported you into space, but another plane of existence, another dimension where assembling your ship and blasting out of there was all that mattered. The colourful, fast-paced graphics, the pin-perfect movement, the blistering enemy invasions, these all combined to make it an unforgettable experience, and for me, my first computer game experience. It's not hard to see why I've been captivated ever since. Created by the almost peerless Stamper brothers, Jetpac first appeared on UK shores in May 1983. It quickly became one of the defining games on the ZX Spectrum. A tiny space dweller desperately trying to assemble their craft, fill it with fuel and Robbie Rocket Pants the hell out of there. The simplicity combined with the fast pace made this an instant classic, and it did all of this in only 16 kilobytes of RAM. Yep, you didn't even need the fully specified Spectrum. Despite receiving the sequels Lunar Jetman and the more loosely derived Solar Jetman, its predominant UK residency has perhaps prevented it from having more spin-offs and iterations in recent years than perhaps it deserves. So you can imagine my joy when I found out there was a Game Boy version created by none other than my friend Quang. You may remember him from my video on the Famicom titler, or appearing in my various Play Expo outings from what seems like an eternity ago. The thing is, this isn't a new game. There are various new Game Boy games hitting the scene, jumping on this delightful bandwagon of retro joy, but this is a game written back in 1999 with a hope for it to be released soon after. We'll get to why that was shortly, but to start with, let's take a look at this wondrous little package in all its physical glory. Now, I pre-ordered this back in September 2020, and I chose the combined physical and digital release because, let's face it, you can't have a digital Game Boy game by itself. That would be ridiculous. You need something physical. For this privilege, I paid the reasonable sum of £40 English, and I was pleasantly delighted to find it arriving on my doormat at the start of December. Of course, it's now January 2021, so for me this is a pretty good turnaround. So let's first take a few moments to revel in the beauty of this outer packaging. You're lost in space, on the furthest edge of the galaxy, deep in alien worlds, outnumbered with only your jetpack and a laser gun to maneuver and defend yourself. You must build your rocket ship piece by piece, fuel it, and take off to the next planet. I don't know why we have to hop from planet to planet, but that's always been the case. So the concept sounds intact, which is good. You'll notice that the Nintendo logo is replaced with the familiar homebrew title, and we've now got Quang DX games as an alternative on the front. You may notice the alternative spelling of Jetpac too, with a kicking K rather than a curly C, which differentiates it slightly from Ultimate's original incarnation. Now, this package was put together by Game Boy Grey, with some rather fitting artwork by Zombie Workshop, who has actually just finished creating some Twitch icons for myself, so I wholeheartedly approve. Inside the box there's a somewhat illustrious item, the manual, in all its compact glory. Honestly, for something I barely ever read, I certainly do miss manuals. This one has been laid out with simplicity at its core, allowing you to grasp what's about to unfold in seconds, and we get a little credit section at the back. So there we go, it was Tristabytes who put the manual together, a fellow YouTuber and Twitch streamer who I regularly watch. This package is starting to feel like a proper retro community collaboration. I like it. Now, to demonstrate this game, I'm going to call on the powers of another YouTuber, my good friend The Retro Future, because he put together this frankly exquisite custom Game Boy for me. This central case was designed by Mizucat, components were from Retro Modding, and the whole package is frankly beautiful. It also has this RIPS version 3 IPS screen, which is going to help significantly in showing you the game, and you'll see why in a little while. So first up is a choice of dark or light mode. Now this is a DX cartridge, or deluxe if you prefer, so it works on the standard DMG machine and the Game Boy Color with obvious enhancements. And this is good news because we all know how upsetting the original screen can be compared with our modern expectations. So then, the dark mode will create a lot more motion blur on the original screen, so light mode is there if you've got an original Game Boy. Of course, on this IPS screen it's really just a matter of preference, as either mode looks exquisite. I'll show you the light mode first. Each of these cartridges has been programmed with the owner's name. As you can see, mine says Nostalgia Nerd, a nice little touch, which apparently took a significant number of days. We're talking a batch of 200 games, all individually tweaked and flashed. Rather you than me, thanks. I'll switch between some emulation footage and real world here, just so you can see what's what. So next we're into credits and the menu. Options allow a choice of controls as well as a music text, and we may revisit that because this cartridge has some cracking tunes on it. By demo scene legend Manfred Linsner. The main game tune has a very Robocop-y vibe to it, and if I were a spaceman with a Walkman, this is the exact music I would choose to assemble my spacecraft to. Now, Jetpac is a simple game by nature, but it's that simplicity which is appealing. Pick up a couple of craft parts, drop them on top of each other, then fuel up until it's ready to blast off. Throughout each level you'll get the local inhabitants trying to disrupt your progress, but being well equipped with a sturdy blaster, they pose no significant threat. Well, unless you play on ARG mode, in which case their sheer numbers will cause some misery. You get 2 on screen in fun mode, 3 in mighty, and 4 in mode. And given we're not presented with a huge amount of screen space here, that makes a very significant difference. Of course, when we do complete a level, the planet seems to explode, so you can see why they're trying to stop us from taking off. In fun mode, you can also simply hold down fire and your laser will keep blasting. However, in other modes, you'll need to be a bit more trigger happy, as the gun is constantly recharging between shots. It's nice to see that we get 8 different rockets to build, 4 different stage designs, and a load of different enemies, crafted again by Zombie Workshop and V Pixels, who incidentally is Quang's brother. So although it's not massively separated from the game which inspired it, there's enough change to make it compelling and exciting. 8 stages is all you get on fun, but the other 2 modes have 16 levels and each mode features a different ending. Then there are the various power-ups, backshots, bubble shield, and the infuriating confusion mode. God damn, I hate you, Quang, for that. Reversing the directional controls is not useful in a high-pressure situation. Still, it's better than getting death, which kills you instantaneously. Thank Christ for continues. It's much easier to see on an IPS screen what items are power-ups and what are just point bonuses. You don't want to go out of your way just to get a 20-point gold bar, which you may do if you have a Game Boy DMG. Come to think of it, this is a weird planet to be on. Just things falling from the sky. All this, as you might expect, doesn't fit into 16 kilobytes anymore. In fact, Super Jetpac DX now consumes a whopping 100 kilobytes. Outrageous amounts of system resource. Talking about resources, there's only a finite amount of time you can dedicate to a website. So stuff the hassle of expensive web agencies and try Squarespace, today's sponsor. Imagine if I had to speak to 10 designers, developers, marketers, all to create a Quang fan website that only I had the vision for. Thankfully, Squarespace helps me realise my Quang appreciation, and it could help you showcase anything you want to share with the world as well. It's even mobile and SEO optimised, which is important to make sure everyone knows. Follow the link below for 10% off your first website or custom domain and start sharing something you find equally glorious with the world as well. Now, I've been playing Super Jetpac DX for several days, and it's truly fun to play. The collision detection is spot on, the difficulty curve is spot on, with the later level creatures getting a bit more frenzied, and as this is a fast twitch game, it feels truly at home on a handheld system. It's a faster pace than the Spectrum original, and that works beautifully on the smaller screen, especially on a Game Boy like this. Look, you can even change screen modes here and get multiple colours on the base hardware. It kind of just interprets the shading values, but it looks really good. However, if we go back to a standard Game Boy, yeah, you can see why we need light and dark mode. I always forget what we had to endure in the 90s. If you play in an area with light, you get reflections galore. If you play in the dark, you can't see a thing. And on top of that, we get the standard motion blur. Things are marginally better on a Game Boy Color, but this is characteristic of the original hardware, not of Super Jetpac DX itself. It's something we had to endure, and who cares, it was fun regardless. An emulator gives you a better idea of how the game would look under ideal conditions on each system, and even stuck in front of a PC, it's a fun experience. But the question still remains, why is this game so late? Why am I sitting here reviewing it on a Game Boy like this, when I should be partying like it's 1999 on a Game Boy like this? Well, I grabbed Quang to have a chat about that. So you first learned Sinclair Basic, is that right?
I started with Sinclair Basic. The first computer we got was a ZX Spectrum for my dad. It was a 128K plus 2. Like any curious kid, you play the games and then you look at the manual and you start copying the listings out of that.
And then you jump to the Atari ST, STOS, and then quite a large jump to Pascal and then C.
STOS was still basic, and it's the first language I used that let you use sprites and music and sound and stuff, so you can put something together and make an actual game with it. And then moving to Pascal was what we taught us in college. Tutor at the time was going, you're doing really well on Pascal. You should check out C. It's more industry standard, and it's not that far away from Pascal apparently.
So why did you jump from there to the Game Boy development kit?
Pascal Felber and Michael Holt put together this development kit, which lets you code for the Game Boy in C. And I was like, I've learnt C. This is great. I can make Game Boy games now because, you know, it's the same language. So
this is when Bung Enterprises released their Game Boy flashcards, and then they did a competition. Yeah. Is that right?
They had just released their new Game Boy flashcard, and to promote that, they did a programming competition for Game Boy Homebrew, and that was something that roughly about the same time I had learnt. So it was a great thing to aim towards to make happen. So
why did you choose Homebrew Jetpac?
Jetpac was the very first game I found. I played it on the ZX Spectrum. I was at a friend's house and I fell in love with it there and then. So it was great to see if I could make that on the Game Boy.
I mean, that's the first game I ever played as well. So I was like, whoa, this game is amazing.
To see Jetpac run so smoothly and fluidly, and that same sort of energy as an arcade game, it really just took my breath away.
Okay, but you didn't win the competition, which is sad. Do you know what position you came in, or were you just like?
I was a runner-up. I got a prize.
Did you? What did you get?
It sent me a 16 megabyte flash card.
Okay, so what was the top prize?
I think it was $500 if I remember correctly.
$500 flash cart. So that game allowed you to be recognised by a startup called Graphic State Games.
So Graphic State, they offered me a job to make Game Boy games after seeing Jetpac DX. They were impressed with it. They managed to wrangle the contract to do a Game Boy port of the game Revolt. We started doing that and we had 6 months to make it in. It got cancelled. So we retooled the game into an ATV racing game and went to see if we could ship that around to different publishers and see if someone else would take it. While that was happening, we got approached to do the conversion for Lego Stunt Rally on Game Boy Color. We had 3 months to make that game.
3 months? Bloody hell.
3 months. I was staying in a B&B next to the offices. I would get up in the morning, go to the office, work from 8 a.m. to maybe 8 p.m. And when we got down to this crunch moment, I wasn't backing up as much as I should have. Just coding. That's what I was just coding. And the hard drive on my laptop died a death. And I panicked and I didn't know what to do. So I was let go. I fell into quite a big, deep depression. It was probably another 8 years before I did any more programming. I found my creativity itch was coming back. So then I got back into programming and making games, and then I formed Sobitech with my brother, and then we started making games together. And after 8 years, things had changed quite a lot. So we've had to spend a lot of time relearning stuff and playing catch up.
What made you decide to revisit Jetpac then, 20 years on?
My day job in IT had evolved to doing IT for events, and because of lockdown and what was going on, there are no more events. And so around this time I started looking at the Game Boy again and thinking I enjoyed Game Boy programming more than anything. This is like, of all the platforms I programmed on, Game Boy was the one I enjoyed the most. So I was hoping if I went back to Game Boy I could rekindle that love for coding. So I thought, let's work on Jetpac DX, upgrade it, update it, put some new stuff in it, and call it Super Jetpac DX.
You've been coding this on and off on your Twitch channel. How long has it taken you to get it up to the finished game that it is now?
So the original Jetpac DX was made in 3 months, and that was along with me learning how to program in C for the Game Boy. This version has also taken me another 3 months on top of that. So altogether, it's taken me 6 months. The first 3 months in 1999, and the last 3 months in 2020. Apart from maybe 4 other days, all the coding for Super Jetpac DX was done on stream.
I struggle playing a game on stream and talking to people.
It's the same thing, because the way I use Coding Club on stream is it's more like a co-working sort of thing. A lot of time, people would just be watching and doing their own thing and watching me having me in the background.
Here's the product. There's a few other Game Boy games which have been released recently, but a lot of them have been Kickstarters and crowdfunding. So what made you not decide to do that?
For the first one, I didn't feel I had enough of a reputation that people would back it.
Where did you get the cartridges made?
There's a factory in China that makes tons of blank cartridges and then put your own image on them. It's like a flash ROM in there. Just
like the good old days when you did the competition.
It's come full circle, you know. It's 21 years down the line, and having these flash carts and putting the ROM onto them. It's great to be able to do that and then send them out. The pre-order went really well with the first batch, so well that people were asking for another batch, hence why we're running a second batch for the pre-order.
So there we go. If you want to grab a copy, you've got till the end of the month, so there's a link in the description below. So thanks for watching. I'm going to play this game how it was meant to be played for the rest of the day, laying on a rug that looks like sick, with a bag of marshmallows and the snazzy backlit Game Boy. I don't feel like we make enough time these days for moments like this. Simple gameplay, simple delights, simple times. Have a great evening.